Hello and welcome to the meeting regarding the project proposal presentation. We are Fintech, a consulting firm specialized in the fintech industry. You represent senior management from digital strategy at Barclays, looking to leverage open banking to Barclays' advantage. The mission of our project is to empower people who are facing mental health difficulties on their way to take better care and control of their finances through open banking. This would be achieved by integrating both the mental health services and financial advice, with the main goal to put vulnerable people back in charge of their finances. In order to provide you with a wider context and to emphasize why mental health is an important topic to discuss, we have included data collected by the Money and Mental Health Policy Institute, as well as the latest statistics based on the nationally representative survey of English adults, carried out every 7 years to provide an estimate of the prevalence of mental health problems across the country. Almost 1 in 5, 18% of people with mental health problems are in problem of death, 3.5 times the rate among people without mental health problems. Nearly half, 46% of people in debt also have mental health problems. Last year, over 100,000 people who are in debt attempted suicide. 93% of people with mental health problems spend more when they are unwell. When we're struggling financially or mentally, it can affect us in more ways than one. There is an increasing potential for open banking to connect the dots between people's financial and mental health, as well as the valuable opportunity to be a force for good, developing more sensitive and personalized services which could improve general well-being and benefit the society. We would like to look at some of the more specific industry-related research that we have carried out. Firstly, we have identified that there is a significant gap in the triage process when trying to contact a bank. In case you have mental health issues and you would like to speak to someone at a bank, there isn't a relevant individual to connect you to. This is not the case with bereavements or more serious illnesses such as cancer. Note that we have personally tested this as a part of our preparation. Secondly, the UK financial regulator is exploring to create formal duty of care for financial services firms to ensure consumer protection and the right balance between firm responsibilities and actions. This legislation is still in development and is due to come in force later in 2020, and it would create implications for future behavior of firms. Lastly, we wanted to re-emphasize the point that there is scientific evidence on the interplay between financial debt and mental health issues, and that the market is currently not doing enough to tackle it, even though there are signs this is changing. Before explaining the open banking architecture, it is important to mention what open banking means in simple terms. In a nutshell, open banking is an evolution from today's closed banking model, in which the customer's banks have sole access and control of customers' data, into an open model in which a large number of traditional banks, new providers, and fintechs will have access to this data. Particularly in the UK, a regulation to foster open banking has been live since January 2018. The regulation considers two pieces of financial regulation: the Competition and Market Authority's Open Banking Remedy, and the European Payment Services Directive II. The following figure represents the architecture of open banking in the UK, the first country to formally implement it. What is the main innovation? Arguably, it is the Open API architecture. Application Programming Interfaces, or APIs, will allow third-party providers, such as fintech companies, to be able to write applications that consume these APIs and perform financial transactions on your account. What are the financial transactions that third-party providers will be able to execute? There are two: the account information services and the payment initiation services. The account information service will make it possible for people to share their transactional financial data easier with third parties. When the third-party provider supplies account information, it is referred to as the account information service provider. On the other hand, the payment initiation service is an online service which accesses a user's payment account to initiate the transfer of funds on their behalf with the user's consent and authentication. Payment initiation services provide an alternative to paying online using a credit or a debit card. When the TPP acts as a payment initiator, it is referred to as the Payment Initiation Service Provider. This API-based approach has many advantages relating to open standards, the ease of use, implementation, and most critically, a robust security framework to protect consumers, corporations, and the financial service providers themselves. As mentioned, the services will gather the data from the user's account. Customers will be able to share their data for any account they own. This includes current accounts, credit cards, prepaid cards, and some savings, though the initial rollout of open banking is just for current accounts. Customers need to be really careful when it comes to sharing their private data. The bank offers protection if something goes wrong, when the data is shared with authorized third parties. These authorized third parties will be regulated by the FCA and will appear on the FCA's register. To become regulated as an AISP or PISP, companies must undergo a rigorous application process with the FCA. Open banking providers can be regulated to be both AISP and a PISP, but many only hold one authorization.
To fully understand the context of mental health and open banking, we created a timeline to show the highlights and evolution of both topics in the last 4 years. As we know, in August 2016, the Competition Markets Authority, CMA, created the Retail Banking Market Investigation Order that mandated technologies used to give people greater control over their data. In parallel, in 2016, the Money and Mental Health Policy Institute was founded with the goal to conduct research and develop practical policies to help break the link between money and mental health. Since then, significant milestones have been achieved, such as the first Money and Mental Health Tech Sprint organized by the FCA and Money and Mental Health Policy Institute, and also the NHS announcing a 2 billion budget increase for mental health issues. On the other side, within open banking, in January 2018, PSD2 and open banking regulations officially came into effect, and by September 2019, all financial institutions had to comply with this legislation. This year in 2020, the Money and Pension Service UK launched the Financial Wellbeing Plan, whereas now we have over 200 FCA-regulated providers enrolled in the open banking registry. As mentioned before, we are seeing increasing examples of people recognizing the need to talk about money and mental health. We talked about the Money and Mental Health Tech Sprint, so we thought that was really interesting and relevant. This was a 2-day hackathon for banks, fintechs, and mental health experts designed to collaborate and create solutions to assist people with mental health problems to achieve financial resilience. This was a truly innovative way to try to tackle a difficult problem, and there were many great ideas that came out of the event. For us, the team Jump was a really interesting one, and they developed a solution where customers were able to set up specific controls how they want to spend their money. The rumor at the moment is that this solution inspired the creation of Monzo Pots, so it shows truly the importance of the event. In addition to these regulatory initiatives, we're also seeing growth in the startup space, especially for open banking fintechs. The two really relevant examples for us are Toucan and Tully. Firstly, Toucan helps you manage your money better with support from someone you trust. They're specialized in securely connecting the user's bank account to a trusted family member or friend, which is truly important for the carer population. On the other hand, we have Tully, who helps its users create a personalized debt solution and creates a budget that they can offer debt advice for with a clear plan so they can make the most of their money. With all of those solutions, we still believe that there is a gap that hasn't been addressed. For that reason, we would like to introduce the BeCare app, a service to consumers that will empower them to manage their finances effectively through tools designed with mental health in mind. BeCare is a service that combines open banking, data analytics, and customer support to help people achieve financial resilience. We would like to talk you through a few of the steps in the process to truly understand what we'd like to offer. Firstly, we would ask customers to download our app and sign up for the service. Here we would outline all of the necessary requirements and provide detail of what the service entails and the very important privacy implications. Post signing up, the customer would be provided with a behavioral questionnaire co-created with the NHS, They would provide more detail on some of the behaviors of the customer and provide understanding of their mental state. Thirdly, we would carry out a data standardization exercise by merging the behavioral data from the questionnaire and transactional data from open banking. After the data standardization step, we would come to the essence of the app, the data analytics element. Using cloud infrastructure and advanced analytics techniques, we would look at the insight we would receive from financial transactional data and the behavioral questionnaire, look to create a profile for the individual. This profile will consist of a detailed analysis of how the individual carries out his finances and demonstrate the important overlaps in behavior and potential next steps the customer could take. We would then provide the essence of the app, a frictionless, convenient connection to a mental health specialist at the NHS and or a financial advisor at Barclays to take a look at the data and recommend what is best to do. We'd be working towards a future state where one person could provide both of this mental health and financial advice. In the future, we would see people engaging in using this app to improve their finances and constantly also monitor how their behaviors have evolved and hopefully improved. In order to deliver a complete picture, we thought it would be important to present to you also the risks and mitigations that we identified with BCare. Firstly, the competition risk. Will NHS work with only one provider? We think the appropriate mitigation would be engagement. If we would engage early with NHS and also stay open on collaborating with other parties and financial institutions, this would be a great way to tackle such an important risk. Secondly, would people trust the bank with their mental health information? One of the key reasons why we approached Barclays in the first place is due to the research that we've taken out and that demonstrated that Barclays is considered to be one of the more pro-mental health banks in the UK. Therefore, continuing to build that image would be an appropriate mitigation. On data privacy, ensuring data privacy, we would rely on Barclays' legal expertise and having all data assessments carried out in accordance with regulation and appropriate resourcing and informing the consumer. Lastly, the algorithm training. The challenge would be how do we train these algorithms without prior data? Similarly to the legal situation, we are confident that Barclays' highly developed analytical capability would be a sufficient mitigation for this risk. Right. In order to provide a complete vision for BCare, we thought it would be important to touch upon what are the end outcomes that we want to achieve with this. Firstly, we want to create an empowered community that discusses mental health and finance. We have an idea that BCare can evolve into a different tool where people can actually share best tips, best practices on how they manage their money and also how they manage their mental health issues. Secondly, we would look to create a new pool of talent and skills to tackle this important topic. As mentioned before, we think having those individuals who are both trained in mental health issues and financial advice, that will be a unique skill that will be extremely valuable to the UK workforce in the future. And lastly, we want to continue strengthening the awareness of the interplay between mental health and financial debt. We feel truly strongly about this topic and we think that with BCare, this will be solved. Thank you very much for your time and let us know if you have any questions.